I'm Erin Porter, a family autism coach from Canada with 30 years of experience in education and working with families of children with autism. My journey began in classrooms where I noticed patterns in children with autism that didn't quite make sense to me. Over and over again, I saw children with autism could perform tasks in one environment, but not in another. They were capable because when coached or rewarded with the right item, they could or would do what they were requested to do. Were going in circles because they knew their child was capable, but they couldn't understand why they didn't consistently do what they were capable of. And parents were exhausted from constantly managing their child's emotions and behaviors. And I was stumped. What I'm sharing today isn't just theory or academic research. It's born from thousands of hours of observing these patterns, asking deeper questions, and ultimately discovering an approach created by Jenny Roberts, a colleague in Australia, that aligns with my own beliefs and helps families break free from the cycles that keep both them and their children stuck. What I'm about to show you might seem counterintuitive at first, but for many families, it's been transformative. It's based on the assumption that your child is capable and that if nothing is working, you need a new approach. I'd like to start by acknowledging the reality that many parents of children with autism are living. And these are not my words. These words come from hundreds of parents that I speak with who all say the same thing. Does any of this sound familiar? Are you constantly walking on eggshells, trying to anticipate your child's needs before they escalate to a meltdown? Do you find yourself guessing what your child wants because clear communication is a challenge? Many parents tell me they've become the exclusive manager of their child's life, which is both isolating and exhausting. Do these daily concerns about life consume your thoughts? Will my child ever sleep through the night in their own bed? How can I expand my child's diet beyond safe foods? When will toileting independence develop? Will they learn to manage their own emotions without meltdowns? Can they develop the self-care skills needed for independence? Here's what fascinates me. Almost every parent that I work with can identify moments when their child demonstrates they are capable. Parents I've spoken with say they've seen glimpses of things, and they tell me things like, my child will use the toilet at school but refuses at home. She'll eat vegetables at grandma's house, but throws them at the floor on the floor with us. Or he can get dressed with his favorite therapist, but acts helpless with me. She falls asleep easily when one parent puts her to bed, but not with the other. These inconsistencies are frustrating and confusing because you know your child can do these things. You've witnessed it, but the ability doesn't translate into reliable, independent behavior. Does that sound familiar? It's because none of this is based on ability. If we can agree that your child is capable, then we have to look away from ability in a different direction. And beneath all of these daily struggles lies a deeper, often unspoken fear. But one father confided in me, what keeps me up at night isn't today's challenges, but wondering What will happen to my son when my wife and I are gone? This concern about your child's future independence isn't just about practical skills. It's about their ability to navigate life when you're not there to guide them. The missing piece is self-regulation. I believe the fundamental issue behind these challenges is not about individual behaviors or skills. It's about something more foundational. The real issue is that your child lacks self regulation. That is the innate ability to look inward to solve your problems. Here's what I mean. Self regulation gives us confidence and security because we know deep down that we can work through challenges. It's essential for flexibility, resilience, and emotional balance. It's the foundation that allows us to be independent human beings. Think about how you navigate your own life challenges daily. You use an unfamiliar bathroom when you need one. You sleep in a different bed if you're traveling. You adapt when a restaurant doesn't have what you want to order. You switch coats when it rains. You find a different solution when your first try doesn't work. These simple adjustments demonstrate a profound ability that you instinctively look inward, trusting your own ability to solve problems. This is self-regulation at work. If your child is struggling to eat, sleep, toilet, play, self-care, or cope, then they are not looking inward like you do. They are looking to other people or things to solve these problems, not to themselves. Without self-regulation, your child will continue to look outside themselves for someone or something to provide the solution they can't find within themselves. This creates a loop and it keeps both you and your child stuck. And you're likely managing some or all of your child's sleeping, eating, self-care, play, coping, and toileting. And this explains why your child can do these things because you see glimpses of it, but why they're not mastered to a level of independence. This visual was created by my colleague, Jenny Roberts, the one who's from Australia, who's been supporting children with autism in Australia for over 40 years. Together, we coach families with her approach that honors this developmental framework. Because Jenny is in Australia and the time zone is 12 hours ahead, we offer 24/7 support during our 333 program. It's the only one of its kind that I know of in the world that helps parents with what to do in real time through the entire night, 24/7. So this perspective is grounded in developmental psychology and, as you can see here, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When typically developing children are born, they start at the bottom of this triangle and progressively master each level, moving up through the triangle. The foundation, which is the bottom level, is called survival, and it consists of those 5 basic needs we discussed earlier. These aren't just functional abilities. They represent a child's capacity to regulate themselves independently. So once a child masters the 5 basic needs, they develop the security and confidence to move upward and leave the people who help them because they know they can solve problems on their own. For example, a child will go to daycare and they will know that they can use the toilet there. Problem solved. Or they can sleep over at grandma's house because they know they can sleep. Problem solved. They can eat out of a lunchbox or go to the park and share the slide. They can take turns. They feel secure in themselves, which allows them to be confident and move further away from home and the people who support them. As a result, they become secure, more social, they engage in learning, they build self-esteem, and eventually they become self-actualized people who contribute to society. What we have consistently observed is that children with autism who struggle often remain stuck in the bottom of the triangle, regardless of age or intellectual ability. This explains why we see children who are 5, 8, 12, 14, or older still struggling with skills that are typically mastered in early childhood. Parents frequently tell me, my child is 10 years old but behaves like a toddler in many ways. And this observation is profound because that's exactly what's happening. Your child may be physically growing, but remain at the survival level because they haven't yet mastered the self-regulation needed to progress and feel secure with themselves. This is where it becomes clear that it's not about skill because parents have seen how capable their child is. This perspective helps us explain why traditional skill teaching approaches often fall short. When we try to teach skills without addressing the underlying self-regulation issue, we're essentially building on an unstable foundation. Here's the truth. These challenges aren't separate problems that require different solutions. They're symptoms of one underlying issue. When your child melts down because they can't find a toy, it's not about the toy. When they refuse to eat or throw food, it's not about the food. When they won't fall asleep, it's not about sleep. When they resist getting dressed, it's not about the clothes. These behaviors all point to a fundamental lack of self-regulation, which is the ability to look inward for solutions rather than outward for something or someone to help them. And this is exactly where the loop begins and is what keeps some families who are struggling going around and around and keeps some parents from feeling, well, it keeps them feeling like they're constantly managing their child. So in this loop, autism causes chaos. Parents get upset and overwhelmed because there's struggles that can't be managed. You can think of your own struggles that can't be managed. Then the child gets upset and overwhelmed, and everything goes back to the top again, where the parent says, well, this is autism. We're living with autism. This is the way that it has to be. Here's the myth. The myth is that this is how autism has to be. Autism doesn't have to be hard if you look in a different direction. It is actually true that your child can have autism and be self-regulated. Jenny's approach that we help parents with isn't about adding more to your already full plate. It's about shifting your perspective. It's a different path forward. When children develop self-regulation, remarkable things happen. Sleep patterns naturally improve. Eating becomes less restrictive. Emotional resilience increases. Self-care skills emerge. Play skills expand. And toileting happens. The beautiful truth is, autism doesn't have to be overwhelmingly difficult when children develop the gift of self-regulation. You can have autism and be self-regulated. Let me share a few examples from families that we've worked with. All of these are real people. and none of their names have been changed. If you want to see the full stories, you can go to my webpage at the Guided Autism Program. Luke here was 3 years old when his parents, Sean and Regina, reached out. Luke was still using a bottle for all liquids, eating only cheese and Cheerios in a high chair, sleeping with mom every night and just mom, headbanging when frustrated, having meltdowns unless he had access to electronics. He wouldn't go through a new or strange doorway into a building, so parents remained at home. They really didn't go anywhere. And he wasn't toilet trained. Today, Luke sleeps 12 hours in his own bed, eats family meals at the table, and eats the food the family's serving, hasn't used electronics in over 6 months, has stopped aggressive behaviors and no more self-harm. He's developing age-appropriate play skills, and he enters buildings and goes through doorways independently because he's excited to explore. Like in these pictures here, this is his first school trip in kindergarten, and he was so excited to go. Luke is completely 100% toilet trained and independent in the bathroom. And he gets up during the night by himself to use the toilet. Total shift. Luke has autism and he is self-regulated. Mason was 6 years old when his mother, Erin, contacted me. She said she hated her life and she wanted to be kidnapped because she believed that whatever kidnappers would do to her would be better than living the life she was living with autism. Her son Mason barely slept, staying on the couch all night. He refused to get dressed, often going naked or just in a pull-up. He wasn't toilet trained. He screamed, he threw things, he hit, he bit, and he hurt people. He would elope from home naked, and twice police intervention had to help get him home. Today, Mason sleeps in his own room through the night. He dresses himself. He uses the bathroom independently. He hasn't watched TV in over a year. He attends school now without behavior incidents. His mom describes him as lovely and sweet, and school changed his IEP after only 3 days. Total shift. Mason has autism and he's self-regulated. And Mason's mother told me recently, I went from locking myself in my room for safety to having a son who gives me hugs and sits with our family during meals. The change isn't just in him, our entire family has transformed. And these aren't isolated cases. Families across North America have experienced similar transformations with the help of me and Jenny. You're welcome to go to my webpage at the Guided Autism Program to see these and other stories. And you're also welcome to book a call with me to talk about your own families and children's struggle with the lack of self-regulation. I can help point you in the next step. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited to share what we are doing to help children with autism self-regulate. Thanks. How can parents recognize if their child is struggling with self-regulation? You can recognize this because your child will be struggling with those 5 basic needs: eating, sleeping, self-care and independence, coping and behavior, and toileting. If you are managing those things for your child is struggling with self-regulation. How can therapists, teachers, and parents work together to support child self-regulation and at home? Okay, let me be very clear. This process is not in contradiction to traditional therapies. Once a child begins to emerge from the bottom of the triangle, they show you consistently what they are capable of. So then you can decide which therapies are the right ones at the right time. It's like this has to come first because once you see how capable your child is consistently, you will clearly see how to support them. Thank you so much for today. Goodbye.